Hey, what's going on, everybody? Max here with Because Bitcoin. As you guys know, I'm a professional trader. My team is made up of professional traders. Biaheza just dropped a video that came across my YouTube. It was recommended for me. My simple $5,000 per day stock trading strategy. I've seen this guy before. He seems pretty sharp. So we're going to take a look at it, and I'm going to give it an honest review, see what he has to say.
I just made $5,000 this morning with a stock trading strategy that I want to explain in this video. Well, it was actually a couple mornings ago, but the morning of this screen recording. I've been consistently using it for the last year or so, but this particular trade is just so clean and simple that it's the perfect.
I love the P&L grabs. They look good. I don't doubt the guy's making money. I also like the BMW that he showed, so I'm with it so far. He's got my attention. I like the intro. He shows me the profits. He shows me the nice car, so let's keep it rolling.
Noticing over the last few months is the rise in this old money aesthetic. I'm sure most of you guys have seen it. It's a certain style and vibe and almost way of living where you don't have any logos on your clothing. You're elegant but not flashy. Tennis, horses. Let me cook here. This is gonna make sense in a second. So I started noticing that a recurring recommendation that was being
I don't know where he's going with this. I will tell you this though. I'm a professional trader. I work with guys that trade for a living. I'm very intertwined. Almost everybody in my life is a professional investor, day trading equities or crypto. Most of them dress like me. I'm not sure where he's going with this old money thing. Maybe he's looking at investing in like a company that's sort of on this trend. So he spotted the Google trend and he's figured out which maybe clothing retailer is going to end up coming up with like, cheap knockoff old money clothing. I guess we'll find out.
In these viral videos as to how to achieve this style was Abercrombie, a brand that was previously deemed slightly cringe. I'm assuming was probably kind of on a decline, but how much of a turnaround this brand has had and how nice it is right now. I stopped by the retail store and to my surprise, it was pretty packed out and they barely had anything in stock. And that's where I kind of started to realize that this might be a stock trade opportunity.
That's pretty funny. I remember Abercrombie growing up as a kid. When you say Abercrombie, the only thing that pops into my mind is like a really strong waft of cologne just hitting you in the face and then just sticking on you and lingering all day, and then maybe some sort of like prolonged headache after the fact. I like how he's going through this for sure. I really like how it started with sort of identifying a trend and then doing some fundamental analysis, backing it up with just enough data to make sure he's actually onto something by figuring out if it's trending. This is cool. I definitely like this sort of methodical journey through his thought process before he makes the investment. So
hedge fund executives are probably not scrolling TikTok and reading through comments. From there, I checked if they're even a publicly traded company. They were, and they actually had earnings coming out the very next day. I had like $10,000 uninvested on a Robinhood brokerage account. I took that, put most of it into ANF stock, and then a few $100 on some options expiring that week. The morning of the earnings release, I wake up and sure enough,
I'm excited to share that we surpassed expectations on both the top and bottom lines.
Okay, thoughts on the play. Plays are most often a gamble. Yes, Google searches were trending for old money style of clothing. Abercrombie was sort of riding that wave, if not at the forefront of it. He went on their website. He could confirm that the demand for their clothes was soaring. It all makes sense, but again, that doesn't always translate to an increase in earnings per share or gross revenue or something that would necessarily pop a stock. 9 times out of 10, an earnings play is a gamble because you don't know. And if anybody tells you that they know and they have an inside scoop, they don't. Because the people that actually do know would be so terrified of the punishments tipping you off that they wouldn't dare tip you off in any way. So it's cool. I was kind of hoping he would maybe lean into more like, yeah, I saw, a certain technical pattern here, or, there was a forced sell-off, or, somebody, big player capitulated and we were seeing distressed prices in the Abercrombie stock. Well, I was seeing the exact opposite as, a small fish in a bigger pond, where I actually, bought some shares at a very cheap PE multiple and wrote it back up. But we'll see. I mean, it's still very cool, but of course, playing lottery options, either betting up or down on an earnings call it's a coin toss. You might as well go to the casino and just more or less put it all on black or red, truthfully.
The market was not expecting this, so the stock shoots up like 30%. Some of the options I'm holding are up by 1,000%. Between everything, it's a $5,000 profit overnight. And this isn't a standalone trade. I have a few similar ones that I'm getting into that I want to cover in a second, but this style of trading is a thing. And it's called social arbitrage swing trading. The whole idea behind social arbitrage trading is that you try to leverage real-time sentiment and conversation you see on.
The only rebuttal I have, I mean, it sounds great. Social arbitrage swing trading sounds like a mouthful, and it sounds like a weird string of words that, again, I've never necessarily done that or heard of it. I'm not familiar with that. I don't know if he just made that up for the sake of the video. I'm familiar with arbitrage trading, but what he showed in the video was not anything that I would classify even remotely close to a swing trade. He took an option call for an earnings play less than 24 hours from his time of purchase. A swing trade is something that I would personally classify as multiple days, traditionally multiple weeks at a minimum. So we'll see if he kind of brings it full circle here. Maybe he's adjusted the strategy, but and really, truthfully, should only be viewed as money that you are okay completely riding to zero. Because buying short-dated contracts on a lottery earnings call, again, it's very, very similar to a coin toss.
If you would have shorted the Bud Light parent company right when the backlash started, could have made some money there. You hear people aren't happy with what Target is doing. There was a small move in the stock there you could have taken advantage of. And that's kind of the beautiful thing of this strategy. You don't have to be a mathematical, fundamental analysis genius to notice some of these trends and make money off. If you think about it, this is like the only or one of the only edges you can have on these massive Wall Street hedge funds. The people working there are smarter than us, better data, better strategies.
No, they're not. I can confirm firsthand that most of the guys that are trading at hedge funds or family offices or wealth management firms, they do not know more than the upper echelon of retail. And I say retail as in guys that just trade their own books. That's actually quite the opposite, where a lot of them actually rely on individuals or sort of lone wolves for their edge in the markets. It's usually sort of this hive mind built through social media, sort of like we saw with even GME, the GameStop squeeze. It's that, but on a much more like low key, sort of like underground feel, where you can create this sort of hive mind where you're not actually operating as a hedge fund, but you've got a group of 10 or 20 guys where you don't trade together, but you sort of like tip off, your positions and stuff like that. And you can oftentimes, be well ahead of these hedge funds because you can move a lot quicker. A lot of these funds are bloated and they got to run things up and down the corporate ladder to get anything done. They're not quick on their feet. Then they're trading with such big size that they're boxing with one arm tied behind their back. They can't get into positions and get out of positions like a small guy can. And again, a small guy could be somebody trading a $10 million book. It's not even really small. We've also seen multiple hedge funds completely blow up. I know individuals that trade between $1 million to maybe $25 million. They trade their own money. These guys will make 100 to 500% in a year on their invested capital. Hedge funds, not even close. Really amazing year for a hedge fund might be 20, 25%, something like that. And something interesting to note about these institutional investors, whether it's a hedge fund, family office, whatever, any type of wealth management. Oftentimes they are extremely knowledgeable. They've got all the degrees, they've got all the credentials, they know all the terminology, they can walk you through anything just like a professor could, but they don't know how to execute on things. I know guys that don't look at the news, they never went to college, they don't understand, economics 101, they couldn't pass a high school economics class, but they make six figures every single month trading because they understand how markets ebb and they flow, and they're really good at execution. So I don't agree with what he just said, that they are smarter than us and they have more resources than us. It can be intimidating, and sometimes they use certain language to try to repel you because, again, their business is built around, it's a very exclusive club. Only we can do what we're doing. But I can tell you, I've seen it firsthand. I've been investing for many years, and so has my team. That is not the case. That is absolutely incorrect. Not even close.
Hundreds of the smartest analysts and algorithms working for them. I mean, who knows what kind of AI they're using right now. However, they likely don't have.
Yeah, there it is. There's the catchy like AI trend. Speaking of social arbitrage trading, the AI wave has been absolutely ridiculous. We've been having fun with that one, but yeah, I mean, I think really what he's indicating with this video is just sort of like being early to the hype is what it is. So we'll see.
Outside of having like some insider information, how would Wall Street know that Abercrombie
Nancy Pelosi is our generation's best investor. She's outperformed the S&P 500 more than I think anybody, maybe even Warren Buffett. So Nancy is every young man who's aspiring to come up in the investing sphere should view and idolize Nancy Pelosi, the world's greatest investor. She has truly beaten the market like I've never seen before. I mean, she is swinging naked 7 and 8 figure options, 3 to 6 weeks out. And that is some serious size. Nancy has more balls than a lot of you guys. I mean, Nancy actually puts it out there with conviction.
He is having this huge sentiment shift on social media. After the earnings come out and they see the data, they now know. But I doubt these Wall Street hedge fund executives are sitting there and looking at comments from our For You page. And so the core of the strategy is that you can use your understanding of culture, sentiment, and conversations on social media to predict market moving trends ahead of time. Once you spot the early stages of a sentiment shift or a trend, you can then start looking for publicly traded companies that directly profit off of the trend. However, Elmer's glue was a main ingredient in the slime making process. But once you find an idea that you want to execute on, you do want to see if you can back up your hunch or particular trend with at least some data, be it as simple as estimated web traffic, Google search volume, or seeing everything out of stock on a website or retail store shelf. From there,
notice how he's dropped in his drop shipping class like 2 or 3 times now. I just happened to notice that. I mean, look, what he's talking about is just being early to a wave. I mean, it's like if you're young and you're on social media and you're on TikTok, a lot of the times these social waves are presented to you well before they reach the desk of an institution. Again, you can act a lot quicker, and you don't have to worry about slippage or, trying to pick up huge block orders or anything. You can just really you can order in on your phone. It's pretty. So I think what he's recommending, it's not being profound. It's just awake, and just watching and listening and observing, and not being asleep at the wheel. There's so much innovation happening in this day and age with technology, and a lot of these big companies are still, they're still innovating and integrating this new technology into their products and their core business. So if you can be early to this, it reminds me of like 2020 and 2021 when all these companies would come out and they'd put out a tweet or an official statement saying, yeah, we are proudly integrating blockchain technology in our business, and their stock would just pump. That's what we're seeing right now with AI. It's like if a company is implementing AI or working with AI in some capacity, their stock is immediately pumping. It's a very relevant example for this type of video. Something that I and my team has been talking about is there's been certain TikTok videos that have been trending frequently for Adobe Photoshop, where Adobe just integrated AI. And, it's a really cool feature where a lot of photographers are probably going to end up losing their jobs because of it. But nonetheless, it's a very cool and useful tool where you can basically like crop out a certain portion of a picture and then just tell the AI what you want it to insert or replace, and it does it. And it gives you some options. Really cool, and it's really been going viral. And that has been reflected in Adobe's valuation if you go and you pull up its stock. So our team's been all over that. Our Discord's been all over that. So I think really what he's advocating for, it makes perfect sense. It's nothing necessarily profound, just with like social arbitrage swing trading, which again, he's not even swing trading. I'm sure he made $5,000, or you could, but this is not going to be an everyday thing.
I decide if it makes more sense for me to just buy the actual stock itself, or if I should buy some stock options behind the stock if I'm expecting a certain catalyst or event to take place. Now, I've personally had the most success with this when I wouldn't force these trades, but rather get into a mindset where I'm vigilant and receptive to these different events and opportunities and trends that I see pop up. And a few months ago, there was a sting operation done on this vaccine company that painted them in a really negative light, and I just so happened to see a video of this sting operation pretty early on Twitter, and the replies I was seeing to this video were pretty insane. I could definitely see how somebody who was once a supporter of this company would switch sides upon viewing this video, potentially further shifting the negative sentiment towards this company. So right there and then, I was able to make some money by just buying some puts and betting on this company going down. Adobe just released their new AI generative fill Photoshop feature, and everyone's talking.
There we go. I'm watching this video for the first time. So yeah, that's a prime example. That's one that came to mind while I was reviewing this video. He's spot on. It's just about being early to trends. And before the report gets pushed up the corporate ladder for these institutions that will actually move the markets, getting in and positioning so that if they do move, you have limited downside and you could potentially profit pretty quickly. But one thing I would urge for everybody is he is advocating a lot of options trading. Options trading is no joke, and it's absolutely not for beginners, even though Robinhood makes it look pretty easy. Just understanding how options actually move and how they're priced and how they decay and, what all the Greeks mean. It's extremely important. So, at a minimum, I would encourage people to use, a free options calculator if you are planning to use options. But beyond that, I would encourage, if you are going to be doing some of this like social arbitrage swing trading, as he calls it, or just, trying to ride the hype wave and positioning for it. For most people, it's going to make sense just to buy spot shares of a company. Just go to their ticker and just purchase shares of it. Don't buy it on margin. Don't play any derivatives. Don't do options. Just buy the shares of the company unless you have more than beginner experience, because chances are with options, you could be correct on the direction, but you could purchase the wrong option and actually still lose money on it. I've seen many beginners do that very early on in my trading career years ago. That's happened to me. It's happened to everybody. So really, if you're going to trade options, please make sure that you understand what you're doing, because again, you could be correct on the direction, you could be correct on where the stock is going, and you could end up still losing a lot of money just because you didn't buy the right one.
About it on Twitter, it's even spilling into some viral TikToks. People are amazed, talking about how the development of this one feature will end graphic design careers. I tried it out and it's actually pretty nice. So I got into an Adobe stock trade. It's been going pretty well, although I'm not sure.
This guy is funny. He's hilarious. He's put a couple DJ Khaled's in there as well. Most influential man of our generation. DJ Khaled, another one. He's funny. I like how he puts his little sense of humor in here too. This is a cool video. I like this guy. I mean, he made a 9-minute video on something that you could put out in a 100 character tweet. I'm not personally like pulling anything from it. I'm as a professional investor, I'm not necessarily finding an edge in this video, but I mean, I think the advice he's giving is good. And it's entertaining.
Another trade I'm in that's slightly a wild card, but it's fairly similar to the Abercrombie one, is a pretty old watch holding company. Over the last few months and even over the last couple of years, watch content has seen a significant uptrend on social media. Tissot released a few models that TikTok is absolutely eating up, and the same goes with some Omega models. Both of these two brands, as well as a few others, are owned by the same Swiss company called the Swatch Group, stock ticker SW. I found myself at a jewelry shop recently, so I asked about some of these specific models, and I was told that they're hot sellers. A similar stock, the Citizen Watch Company, has had rallies after both of their two most recent. SW Gay only reports earnings twice a year, so we'll see how this one plays out towards the end of July. Let me know.
He makes great videos. He had a couple little jokes that went in there. I think the advice was fine. I think the title, if my one big critique on it would be, you're not going to make $5,000 a day finding trends like this. I think, they kind of come and they go. And, I'd say if you hit one every single quarter, one big one, you'd probably be doing better than most. But yeah, it's an effective strategy. I think he's great at making videos. That was super entertaining. He dropped a couple little like Budweiser jokes in there, which was great. But yeah, I mean, what he's really advocating for is just keeping your eyes open, keeping your ears all the way turned up, and just watching and listening and seeing where the attention is being focused. Where are people looking? And then seeing if there's a way where you can invest in a publicly traded company that's, some sort of participant in, this hype wave is all it is. So social arbitrage swing trading, it's a mouthful. I think you could probably just condense it to riding the hype wave. It's as simple as that. But anyways, Biaheza, I love the video. No doubt you crushed it. You're great at editing videos, and I'm sure you're a savvy investor as well, given that you're so in touch and you've got your finger on the pulse of social trends, given your influence and your social connections. So yeah, all in all, a great video. I would just, again, urge everybody to be a little bit cautious with options for sure. But super entertaining video, and yeah, definitely fun to ride the waves when you can find a nice trend like the Nvidia one that we just saw. I mean, Nvidia is trading at a 200 PE right now, and it's all off the back of this AI narrative. So They go, man. They will go like crazy, and markets can remain irrational for a very long period of time. Just because something is overvalued doesn't mean that it has to go down immediately. Markets can remain irrational for a long time, and bubbles can last a lot longer than you expect. So it's much easier to trade with the trend than being mad that you missed it. And you know what? Another thing too, and I learned this trading crypto through many, many painful lessons in crypto. There's a huge learning curve with the psychology of trading things on chain or meme coins. You have to sometimes come to terms with being late to a trend. Sometimes you have to buy somebody else's. You have to buy somebody else's 2 or 3x. And guess what? You might be buying somebody else's 2 or 3x, and you might be in later than them, but it still might pull a 10x from there. So if the trend is strong and the technicals line up and the fundamentals make a decent amount of sense, sometimes you got to take some cracks at it, you know. But I like the video. I like what he's advocating for. And again, my name is Max. I'm with Because Bitcoin. We're a financial media company with a very heavy emphasis on digital assets. We host live shows talking about markets and trading every single day. So be sure to like and subscribe. Check us out. Check out Biaheza. That was a cool video. I definitely like him. But yeah, guys, thanks as always, and take care.